Someone that we've come to expect to see in these finals is referee Eric Lewis, and obviously he's in the midst of an investigation into a second burner Twitter account.
Have you ever wondered if the game you love is really fair? Could it be that the whistles you hear are hiding a much darker tune behind the scenes?
I'm wondering where that investigation stands, where you expect it to go, and how it was decided that he wouldn't participate in these finals as that is ongoing.
Shortly after the release of an audio recording this past Saturday morning, the basketball world was set ablaze. The tape claims that there has always been complaints with the terrible officiating in the WNBA. A lot of it has always been excused as incompetence, but it is much deeper than that. Listeners were stunned to hear allegations of manipulation reaching all the way up to the commissioner's office. The whispered talk of secret payoffs, rigged rosters of officials, and hidden travel stipends suggested that the league we trust might be playing with a stacked deck. As fans, we have cheered and groaned at calls for years, but what if every buzzer, every foul, every crucial second has been choreographed? Let's dive into the revelations, the outrage, and the questions that every fan deserves answered.
How can officials be held more accountable to get those calls right, especially when one game, as we know, can really make such a huge difference?
Well, first of all, they are absolutely held.
The first shockwave hit when the recording named Commissioner Kathy Angelbert as the alleged architect of the scheme. It claimed that a roster of referees had been recruited onto a secret payroll, receiving consulting bonuses and off-book travel stipends in return for favorable calls. According to the tape, these consultants were briefed on which players to protect and which to target before tip-off. If true, this would mark the most breathtaking scandal in women's basketball history. It would mean that every contest, every upset, and every hero moment might have been part of an elaborate performance, with the referees as the uncredited directors. Nobody would blame a skeptic for scoffing at such wild claims. After all, bad calls happen in every sport. Human error is as much a part of the game as dribbles and dunks. Yet the leak hinted at something beyond mere incompetence. Listeners heard references to systemic interference and commissioner directives, phrases not usually dropped in casual locker room gossip. This suggested that what we chalked up to a referee's off night might have been carefully planned. When routine decisions start smelling like scripted outcomes, fans begin to see patterns where none should exist.
Accountable. We don't publicize discipline for officials. We don't think that would be appropriate, but their assignments are affected by the quality of their calls.
Take, for example, the final 2 seconds of the Fever versus Liberty game. A tactical timeout ended, and Sophie Cunningham's inbound pass found Caitlin Clark in perfect position. Clark moved to set up her shot when she was stripped aggressively by a defender. Despite the clear contact, the official waved play on. No whistle, no foul. The buzzer sounded, and New York claimed a 90-88 victory. In any standard game, that non-call would have sparked debate at most. But for Clark's supporters, already attuned to her rough treatment, it felt like confirmation of a grand design. The referees had become the deciding factor, not the players. Questions about officiating bias have trailed Clark since her rookie season. Physical contests that draw a whistle on others somehow slid under the radar when she was involved. There was the deep three she launched against Connecticut, met by a fierce challenge from Dana Bonner that left Clark off balance. But the official stood mute. Later, in Seattle, storm forward Easy Megaburger collided with Clark, setting a screen, yet the game pressed on without so much as a glance toward the scorer's table. These incidents piled up like evidence in a courtroom, creating a narrative that Clark was being singled out for rougher treatment. Fans started to whisper that it wasn't just bad luck on the court, it was something more calculated.
Whether or not they progress into the playoffs and then round by round is impacted by the accuracy of their calls and their demeanor on the floor. So there is a system for overseeing.
Meanwhile, a different face of the league has been basking in unanimous praise. Asia Wilson of the Las Vegas Aces has emerged as this season's darling, drawing whistles, free throws, and fawning headlines. In the latest Aces Fever showdown, Wilson attempted 13 free throws, almost as many as the entire Fever squad combined. Every time Indiana looked to mount a comeback, the whistle mercifully halted their momentum. It was as though the league had secretly decreed, "Give Wilson the royal treatment." The contrast between Clark's sting of no calls and Wilson's string of freebies was so stark that even casual viewers sensed something was off. This double standard raises an uncomfortable possibility. What if the WNBA is grooming its own Cinderella? A figurehead to carry the league's brand forward? Wilson is talented, no doubt. But the disparity in officiating calls cannot be chalked up to mere coincidence. When one player's every move is rewarded and another's every drive is penalized, the integrity of the competition is at stake. Fans who tune in for an honest display of skill deserve more than spectacle. They deserve fairness.
Sean?
Sean Hyken, Rose Garden Report. Adam, the Paul Allen estate a couple of months ago announced that the Trailblazers are officially for sale, so I'm just...
Betting markets have also exploded around these controversies. In professional basketball, a single foul or phantom call can influence point spreads, prop bets, and in-play wagering. The smallest edge can translate into staggering profits for insiders with advanced knowledge. History has shown that referees can be tempted by the lure of quick cash. Look no further than the NBA scandal that saw an official sentenced to over a year in prison for feeding betting picks. If the NBA can fall prey to such corruption, why not the WNBA, now basking in record viewership thanks to Clark's breakout performances? The incentives are all there. The league further alleges that some refs were placed on a lizard sheet, a derogatory term whispered in the recording, denoting officials inclined to accept kickbacks. These referees, the tape contends, were instructed to level the playing field by skewing calls away from certain franchises. If so, then every upset, every Cinderella story might be suspect. What does it mean for a champion crafted in secret to celebrate a title? How can players trust a whistle when it might ring at the behest of a hidden fund?
Curious, from the league's end, has there been any updates on that? And also, is it a priority for you guys that the team gets sold to a group that wants to keep the team in Portland long term?
Amid this scandal, silence has been deafening. Commissioner Angelbert has neither confirmed nor denied the allegations. Her office issued a brief statement assuring fans that an internal review was underway, yet no updates have emerged. Vital lifelines for the league are rumored to be uneasy. After all, corporations pay top dollar to associate with a clean, empowering brand. Any whiff of impropriety threatens that association, and with it, the sponsorship dollars that fuel growth. Players, too, are caught in the crossfire. Clark has remained tight-lipped, focusing on her relentless work ethic and game preparation. Yet her coach, Stephanie White, broke ranks in a recent post-game press conference. "I thought she got fouled," White said bluntly. A -31 disparity in free throw attempts? That doesn't happen by mistake. Such candor from a head coach is rare, especially in a league where unity is prized. White's words lent weight to the theory that this is less about competence and more about control.
It's the league's preference that that team remain in Portland. We've had great success in Portland over the years. I don't have a specific update on the process.
Fans have started to rally, demanding transparency. Hashtags like Fair4Kate and WhistleWatch have trended alongside game highlights. Fan forums buzz with shared clips of questionable calls, each replay fueling the idea that something rotten lies beneath the surface. The WNBA's social media channels, once full of celebratory posts and highlight reels, now brim with pointed questions for the league office. What are you hiding? Who's paying these referees? When will justice be served? At stake is more than a single player's reputation. It's the very notion of fair competition. The WNBA has been on a thrilling ascent, capitalizing on star power and social media momentum. Ratings for games featuring Clark have skyrocketed. Her lowest drawing matchup still pulled in over 500,000 viewers. By contrast, marquee Aces games barely cracked six figures. If Clark is the league's chief draw, why does it feel like she's being boxed out of her own spotlight?
But I know is underway, and I know there are groups that are actively engaged with the estate and have demonstrated interest in that team. I'd say one of the factors that
Some voices suggest a radical solution. Let Adam Silver and the NBA step in. Under NBA leadership, referees could be rotated across both leagues, subject to the same rigorous oversight. Critics say that would dilute the WNBA's autonomy. Supporters counter that it might restore credibility and quell the rumor mill. Either way, it underscores how desperate the situation has become. The prospect of losing the league's independence seems less scandalous than letting the current chaos continue unchecked. True reform won't be easy. The WNBA must investigate the leaked audio's authenticity. It must audit referee assignments, call trajectories, and financial records tied to officiating. It must publish findings in full, allowing fans and stakeholders to see the raw data. Only then can trust be rebuilt. Anything less will only fan the flames of doubt.
The city of Portland likely needs a new arena. So that will be part of the challenge for.
Meanwhile, every tipped ball and every buzzer beater will be replayed, not just for the highlight, but as potential evidence. Every laugh and cheer in arenas will carry the undercurrent of suspicion. And as the league navigates this storm, its future hangs in the balance. Will it emerge stronger, with reforms that set a new standard for transparency? Or will it crumble under the weight of its own silence and be remembered not for athletic excellence, but for an elaborate game of off-cat intrigue? The WNBA stands at a crossroads. The whistle has blown on the secret game, and the court is set for a showdown far bigger than any playoff series. It's time for Angelbert to step forward, for the league to open its books, and for the referees to face the spotlight. Because in the end, empowerment means nothing if the game itself cannot be trusted.
Or any new ownership group coming in, but it does certainly be our preference that team remain in Portland.
The WNBA's current turmoil has become more than a mere blemish. It's a lesson in how power can corrupt even the most well-intentioned institutions. Imagine stepping onto the court, heart pounding, knowing every spin move or drive to the hoop could be undermined by forces you'll never see. This isn't just theory, it's the lived reality for players who must wonder if their brilliance will ever shine through the murk of whispered deals and backroom promises. Every time a whistle goes silent on a clear foul, the spirit of true competition takes a hit, and with it, the very soul of the sport.
I would probably want to see the refs grading system, probably. Like, let that be more.
Behind closed doors, executives and officials make decisions that ripple outward like a pebble dropped in a pond. Sponsors watch their investments teeter on the brink of scandal fatigue, ready to pull the plug if the league's reputation continues to sink. Media outlets feast on every hint of impropriety, turning speculation into headlines that spread faster than any viral highlight reel. Meanwhile, loyal fans replay questionable calls on social media, gathering evidence like detectives, demanding transparency. In this environment, the WNBA cannot simply brush off these allegations. Doing so would be an invitation for the dam to burst. Yet history offers cautionary tales. In the early 2000s, international soccer faced its own refereeing crisis when high-profile matches were marred by corruption. Entire World Cup qualifiers were later overturned, and governing bodies were forced to implement sweeping reforms, including video assistance and financial audits of officials. The sport emerged stronger, with clearer rules and stricter oversight. Could the WNBA learn from this precedent? If it chooses to embrace technology and introduce independent review panels, it might chart a path out of this crisis. But only if it's willing to acknowledge the depth of the problem.
Public, the same kind of way our stats are shown on a nightly basis. Not to make their job any harder, because it's a.
Some argue that the NBA's relatively smaller size compared to men's leagues makes it more vulnerable to manipulation. With fewer games and a tighter knit community of officials, a small circle of insiders can wield outsized influence. In contrast, large leagues can diffuse corruption across a vast network, making it harder for any single bad actor to dominate. This means the WNBA must be more vigilant, proactively rotating referees, increasing transparency in assignments, and opening its financial ledgers for outside scrutiny. Otherwise, the very intimacy that makes the league special could become its Achilles heel. Beyond structural reforms, cultural change is essential. Players and coaches need safe avenues to report grievances without fear of retaliation. Anonymized hotlines, independent ombudsmen, and clear anti-retribution policies can empower those on the court to speak out. When a coach like Stephanie White breaks silence, it signals both courage and desperation. Her honesty underscores the void of trust between the playing field and the commissioner's office. By establishing formal channels for dialogue, the league can foster an environment where concerns are addressed before they swell into full-blown scandals.
A really hard job, but it'd be interesting from a fan and player perspective to know, why a ref is a great ref and how they kind of rate their...
The fan experience also hangs in the balance. Many supporters fell in love with the WNBA's authenticity, its raw emotion, community engagement, and emphasis on teamwork. These qualities stand in stark contrast to perceived theatrics in other professional sports. If fans begin to see each game as a chess match, rigged by unseen hands, that sense of authenticity evaporates. Ticket sales could slump, viewership could dip, and social media buzz could transform into angry hashtags. For a league still carving its niche, alienating your core audience is a risk it cannot afford. Let's talk numbers. In the past season alone, games featuring Caitlin Clark averaged 580K viewers, a staggering uptick from league averages. Meanwhile, marquee matchups without her hovered near 150K. If one player can nearly quadruple ratings, you can bet advertisers have noticed. Their boards of directors demand accountability. They want assurances that their brand isn't tarnished by scandal. The WNBA's leadership must deliver credible reports on officiating integrity, or risk losing lucrative deals that underpin every promotional campaign and grassroots initiative.
Their system a little bit. I'm curious about that.
To your point about transparency, I think that's one that the officials also have their own union. Everyone.
From a legal standpoint, the stakes are equally high. If evidence emerges that referees accepted bribes or that the commissioner's office orchestrated call directives, it could trigger federal investigations under anti-corruption statutes. Lawsuits from disgruntled players or teams could follow, alleging tortious interference or breach of contract. Even if these suits ultimately fail, the legal expenses and reputational harm could cripple the league for years. Proactive self-reporting and cooperation with authorities might mitigate penalties, but only if done without delay. Don't let this story fade into the background. If you believe in a fair game, make your voice heard. Like, comment, and subscribe for every update as this saga unfolds. The whistle has blown. Now make sure you're listening.